I was a big fan of the original Twisted Metal games on the PS1 because at the time there was no other game out there like it. Sure, there was Destruction Derby, but that didn't feature crazy cars and big guns. Now it's back for a reboot on the PS3, but does it still provide the same thrill, or has it been left behind since then? The plot focuses on 3 characters who've assembled to fight in Calypso's Twisted Metal tournament. Sweet Tooth is back to get the reward of murdering the one that got away, as well as Mr. Grimm and Dollface. You jump in any number of vehicles with different strengths and speeds and race around a number of arenas to usually end up being the last man standing. Interestingly, they still gone for treated actors in the cutscenes, which, although a unique style, does jar with the in-game graphics. Then it's time to get in the ring, so to speak. Pickups are littered across the ground, and at first things can be a little overwhelming. Guns, shields, bombs and other powers can be selected and fired using the D-pad and triggers, and you need to work out this whilst also being pummeled by your opponents. Get out of the mayhem and you can line yourself up to fire cannons, or use the auto lock-on to do some serious damage. Get stuck in all the carnage and it can feel a little unfair as you get pounded from behind again and again. While some people may enjoy this activity, I found it rather frustrating. When health gets low, you can rush off to find health, or swap your car out for another one you chose at the start in the garage. Game modes include Deathmatch, Team Deathmatch, a mode where you must stay inside a moving electric grid, otherwise you lose health, races, and a mode similar to Capture the Flag where you must grab hold of enemies, drag them to a machine, turn them into a rocket, and then fire them at a huge effigy. Random, but quite fun. If you stick with the game, you'll actually find some strategy behind all the mayhem, but you do have to forgive quite a few failings to get there. The graphics aren't great, the game feels very rough around the edges, and the default controls are just horrible. Luckily you can change them to something you're more used to, but still that won't help you if your car gets stuck in some of the scenery and you have to restart the stage. Scenery damage is also inconsistent, meaning you can sometimes drive through a building, only to be defeated later on by a waist-high wall. Reversing is also counterintuitive because the steering switches as you reverse. Have the dev team actually driven a car? As well as the single player campaign, it's also good that local multiplayer hasn't been forgotten. After all, that's where its roots lie. So you can still play split screen locally as well as against others online. When taking the game online, you can join or create servers with up to 16 players in them, but at the time of writing this, joining other people is sketchy at the best of times. Hopefully this will improve from today on its UK release. There's a lot of fun to be had here, but for me, the game's a big disappointment and could have done with being delayed a little bit more to refine it. It gets 6 out of 10. You've been watching a review from Gamesweasel. If you want to get the show each week, which includes video game reviews, news, previews, competitions and special features, then head over to Gamesweasel.com for our video podcast, Gamesweasel TV.
Gamesweasel.com